I feel like I've been using my art as my voice, for sure, to speak out against hate and ignorance and lies. I decided to start the series because I was very frustrated. It reached a point where it was so much and it was weighing so heavy on me that I felt like as an artist I had to do something about it. I felt like it's an important topic, and the conservative people that I was encountering in the community, I felt like they needed to be exposed to things that I was seeing, keeping up with the news and looking at different sources and basically creating a dossier in my head on Donald Trump. I decided to start writing all of the quotes down that really stuck with me, like negativity about women, about people of color, like bogus policies, man. Like all of it I was accumulating in my head and through saved sources like news articles. I reached my breaking point. I did my first drawing. I was very frustrated. I showed my husband and asked him what I thought, or what he thought, because I was scared. I was scared to put my opinion out there in a way that I had never put it out there before, and especially with something so controversial. So this is one of my stronger pieces. This content came from his Twitter account. This is actually something that he tweeted and then deleted after the fact. But thank goodness for screen grabs, because then you can get like what he says real time, right? So if Hillary Clinton can't satisfy her husband, what makes her think she can satisfy America? And that just, as a woman who's been cheated on by like high school boyfriends, you know, even though it wasn't that serious, that's gross. That's gross. Like nobody wants to be reminded of the time when they were scorned by their lover, and he did that publicly on like the most public platform on Twitter where everybody has access to it. So the way that he just tries to humiliate his opponent disgusted me, so I decided to draw him as a pig. A lot of women didn't have the same kind of feelings I did about his demeaning, derogatory speech against women, and the way that he had treated his ex-wives, treats his daughter, treats his workers. It's all demeaning, like woman as object, never woman as human. So just that alone, I think that was from the beginning what just put a really bad taste in my mouth about him, because I'm old enough to have watched him on the television or like see him on his stupid shows and everything. Like I grew up thinking that this man is a clown, and like an icky clown. Like, just an icky guy, you know? He's like every male boss who felt it was okay to like sexually harass me. Like, I feel like I've met 1,000 of him. Like, I've met 1,000 of him, whether it be like some, you know, just like teenage boy who is nasty and doesn't know how to treat women, to like a grown man being openly disgusting towards a woman or towards me personally. Like, I've had plenty of times in my life where I've been demeaned and degraded by males that I have like no personal relationship with, and he's like the embodiment of all of that. And I knew that as women have been through that, women have dealt with that, especially older women. So that was something that I couldn't wrap my head around, was how women, especially like those who have been through encounters like that, how they wouldn't be able to take him seriously as a misogynistic, like, pig, you know?
Yeah.
As a woman, since he was elected, I feel like the tone is different when I go outside, or I'm always on edge, at least. Like, I'm on edge for myself as a woman, I'm on edge for every other woman, for every person of color that I see, because I feel like there's just an ever-looming threat at this point with such a toxic Trump or post-Trump America. A lot of negativity. I drew this the day that he said this. I woke up that morning and watched his rally in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where he was supposed to be announcing his contract with Donald Trump to the American people. And during that rally, he said that he wanted to sue all of the women that were coming forward with allegations of sexual harassment against him. So he made an open threat to sue the women who were saying that he had sexually assaulted him, like he hadn't violated them enough, you know. So I felt this was important to include in my series because he made it about him and his campaign. Like, these women were speaking out, obviously, to warn the country about what kind of person this was, you know, and he made it so much about him where he thought that they were just coming out making things up to hurt his campaign. And I feel like that was a perfect example of why women don't come forward with sexual assault. Women who are raped don't report it because they're afraid of powerful men taking legal action against him. And the reason why all of these women were coming out all at once was this was right after the Access Hollywood tape. They felt empowered because the American audience had seen and heard his voice and saw him on a bus talking about women in such disgusting ways that this was their time that they could be heard, and he shot them down as liars, as fakes, as trying to make a quick buck in the media. The Hillary Clinton staged event yesterday was pathetic. Be careful, Hillary, as you play the war on women or women being degraded card. What kind of freak says that in the first place? But when Hillary would speak about a war on women or women being degraded by men, he dismissed it as nothing, as her just trying to get ahead with a campaign instead of truly caring about women's issues and the problems that we go through every day and the treatment that we get.
Has there been anything that has discouraged you from pursuing your work?
Every day. Every day. In the start, it was what are people gonna think of me, or how are people going to perceive me? Are they going to take me seriously if I am just standing out against somebody rather than putting positive things out there, right? Because I didn't cover positivity in my in this series at all. So dealing with just negative quotes and a negative personality all the time, watching Donald Trump, reading his interviews, watching old interviews, watching his rallies, I was taking in a lot of negativity. So I feel like that affected me, and at a lot of times that was discouraging because I was kind of counting down the time that I had until I'd be free of the negativity. And that's how I viewed the end of the series, how I viewed Election Day. So I've gotten a lot of positive feedback and negative feedback too. And negative feedback isn't something that I'm used to with my bodies of work normally, because this is the first time that I've really had a voice speaking out against something. This is a real body of work to me, whereas before I was more focusing on aesthetics and techniques and exploring what art is to me. Now I'm using art as my voice. So it was a different kind of obstacle, especially producing such a large body of work with 52 pieces right now. I've actually decided to continue the conversation and continue making pieces for unfair media because I don't feel like the point got across the first time. So I feel like it's important for me to keep going with my work, and anything that was discouraging me at first has really turned around and has been very encouraging. After the initial shock of realizing that Donald Trump made it that he's going to be the president. I feel like a lot of my my negative feelings about him, I had already fostered them. They're very real, but I'm able now to turn it into something positive and hope for positive change. Because right now I feel very affected. It's heavy in my heart what's going on outside of like my studio walls. Protests in New York City and Chicago and LA, across campuses in the United States. I feel like people are ready for a change now. So hopefully my work can stay. Maybe I'll have a more positive attitude going into it. That'll help me with my my outlook on things, because it's pretty dark right now. It's pretty dark. I'm getting so emotional right now.
It's our new reality.
Why? How did this happen? Just his misinformation that he puts out into the world, like total disregard for truth and fact, you know. I don't want people to lose hope. Like, it seems like it could be the end. It doesn't have to be the end. There's going to be a halt in progress. I think we might be going backwards a couple of steps as far as our legislation goes within the next couple of years. We have to do everything that we can to not let that happen and keep moving forward. So now, us artists, we're going to be pretty busy. Next few years are going to be pretty busy. Staying involved, it's important for people to be involved. So if you can, get out and protest, speak your voice. I think that's important for our generation right now. Hoping that that from the ugliness will come light, will all of this divisiveness, all of this negativity will actually be empowering to people of color and to women and to people of the LGBTQ community. I'm hoping that it'll make people rise up and fight for what's right. I think in the end, hopefully before the end of his presidency, we are united, but not the way that he says that we should be united, by complacency. I think that maybe we should band together and do something positive, because there's going to be a lot of negative coming out of this presidency.